Hi, my name is Brian Judd, and I chose to do George Martin because of all the work that he did with the Beatles, and I know he did a couple of things with Jeff Beck too. I wanted to know more about his past and where he came from, actually. So that's why
Martin was born on the 3rd of January in 1926 and didn't even begin his classical music training until his 20s. He was actually taught 8 piano lessons by his aunt when he was a child, and then kept up with the piano and led a small combo called the Four Tune Tellers.
At 17, Martin enlisted in the Fleet Air Arm during World War II as an aircraft observer, where he met Sidney Harrison, who would become his mentor and critique on a lot of the earlier scores he had written. So Harrison was also a teacher at Guildhall School of Music in London, and after Martin got out of the military, Harrison invited him to come in for an audition, which he set up, and Martin passed that and would spend 3 years there studying music and also picking up a second instrument, the oboe. After graduation, Martin had a short-lived job at BBC's music library, but then was offered a head producer position at a subsidiary of EMI's called Parlophone. At 29, Martin was the youngest head producer of a label in England to date. This is when we get to the George Martin that everybody knows about. I mean, he recorded a couple of comedy records that were successful, and he also turned down the opportunity to record Tommy Steele, but he did make a wise choice in signing a band that no other label would sign, called the Beatles. And he had a couple of things that he didn't like about them, like the fact that their drummer wasn't that great, so he was eventually replaced by Ringo Starr. And what got him to sign the Beatles was actually the harmonies between Paul and John, and he really liked that, and he thought he could do something with it. So he offered the band a singles deal. The singles deal he offered them was taken, and Ringo Starr was, inducted into the band. And they did a song called Love Me Do, which didn't do that well, but is now a hit, so we're going to listen to it for a second.
Love, love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So please, love me do. Ooh, love me.
The second single he would do with the band actually would take him to national recognition, called Please Please Me. So we're going to listen to that for a second.
Last night I said these words to my girl. I know you never even try, girl. Come on, 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 come on. Please, please me, whoa, yeah, like I please.
George Martin's producing techniques were very simple and at oftentimes made a lot of sense. For instance, he encouraged the healthy competition between band members to write songs, and then they would audition them to him, and he would tell them whether or not he thought that they were good, because one of the things he said all the time was that no one person can be the judge of their own music, because you get so tied up in what you're doing that you can't see it from the trees, in his own words. George Martin also believed that he needed a second pair of ears on everything that he was doing, so he would eventually hire Jeff Emery as his studio engineer, and they would talk back and forth and often, challenge each other's opinions on things, because that's healthy competition and it provides a better outcome. George Martin would also try to do things like add new instruments or take it to a different key and do anything new and just creative to try it. He didn't necessarily even care whether it sounded good the first time. It was just to get it out there and make sure that they weren't missing anything that could have been great, which is honestly the best view a producer can have. You can't be closed off to anything in order to accomplish something great. All in all, Martin was an amazing producer, and I'm glad I did this project and got to learn more about him.